All right, so you're interested in this connection between tooth health and overall well-being.
Yeah.
So we're going to go on a deep dive here into some fascinating research from Slovakia
Okay.
and really pull out some of the most relevant points about this often overlooked connection between your dental health and chronic conditions.
Yeah, this stuff is super interesting.
And one of the things that I found so intriguing is that it really digs into this premise
Yeah.
that each tooth has an energetic connection to a specific organ, which is something that's been explored in traditional Chinese medicine for over 3,000 years.
Wow.
And it's amazing to think that this ancient wisdom is still relevant today.
It's like they were onto something back then.
So we're talking about things like rheumatism, bladder inflammation,
Right.
prostate issues, allergies, and even heart problems.
Yeah, we're not just talking about cavities here.
Right. This goes way beyond just your typical dental concerns.
It's really about looking at the bigger picture and how the health of your mouth can be a reflection of what's happening in the rest of your body.
Okay, so I'm familiar with that connection between oral health and heart health.
Right.
That's something that's been getting more attention lately. But some of these other connections seem a bit more, I don't know, out there.
Yeah, I get it.
Can you kind of walk me through that? How does a toothache potentially relate to something like bladder inflammation?
Well, so the source draws a parallel to traditional Chinese medicine,
Okay.
like you said, which has been around for thousands of years.
Yeah.
And one of the core principles of TCM is that each tooth has this energetic connection to a specific organ.
Okay.
Like, it's like this web, a complex web,
Uh-huh.
where if there's an imbalance in one area,
Yeah.
it can trigger problems in another.
So it's not just that an issue in my liver could show up as a problem with a particular tooth,
Right.
but that something going on with that tooth could actually impact my liver health.
That's exactly it.
Wow, that's kind of a wild thought.
It is. And to give you an example of how ingrained this concept is, even in language,
Okay.
the Slovakian term for eye tooth directly translates to eye tooth.
Really?
Yeah, which is a reminder that even language itself reflects
Oh, wow.
this ancient understanding of the connection between teeth and organs.
That's pretty mind-blowing. It makes you think what else we might be missing
Right.
when it comes to these connections.
Exactly.
So if we're talking about these intricate relationships between our dental health and the rest of our body, where do we even begin to address it all?
Well, a good place to start is with the oral microbiome.
Okay.
Think of it as like a community of bacteria
Yeah.
that live in your mouth. Some are beneficial, others are not so much.
I've heard a lot about the microbiome in general, but I'm not sure I totally get how it relates to my teeth.
Well, it all comes down to balance.
Okay.
A healthy oral microbiome has a good mix of bacteria.
Mm-hmm.
But when that balance gets disrupted,
Yeah.
that's when problems arise.
So what throws off that balance? Is it as simple as just like eating too much sugar?
Sugar definitely plays a role,
Okay.
but it's more than that.
Okay.
It's really a diet heavy in acid-forming foods
Yes.
like processed foods, refined grains,
Mm-hmm.
sugary drinks.
Okay.
All of that creates an acidic environment in your mouth,
Yeah.
and that's when things start to go wrong.
Okay.
It weakens your teeth,
Mm-hmm.
makes them more susceptible to decay,
Yeah.
and creates this perfect breeding ground for harmful bacteria.
So how acidic are we talking here?
Right.
Like, what's the danger zone if I were to like test the pH of my saliva?
Well, the research points to a pH below 6 as that critical point.
Okay.
Once your mouth dips below that,
Yeah.
it triggers demineralization.
Demineralization.
Yeah, which means your teeth start losing mineral content,
Got it.
making them weaker and more prone to decay.
Okay, so acidic environment equals bad bacteria taking over.
Exactly.
And weakened teeth.
Right.
Got it.
It all kind of starts to connect, doesn't it?
It does. It's starting to make more sense.
Good.
But I know that this research also explores some of the dental procedures
Yeah.
that might be adding to the problem.
Yeah.
So what can you tell me about that?
This is where things get a bit controversial.
Okay.
The source specifically takes aim at amalgam fillings,
Okay.
the ones that contain mercury.
Mercury. That definitely sounds like something I would want to avoid putting in my body.
Yeah, and it's a valid concern.
Yeah.
Research suggests that even small amounts of mercury
Yeah.
can leach from these fillings into the bloodstream over time.
Okay.
And because it's such a gradual process,
Mm-hmm.
it can be hard to connect specific symptoms to the fillings themselves.
So it's like a slow burn.
Right.
That's hard to detect until it's potentially causing problems elsewhere.
Exactly.
Okay. And it's not just amalgam fillings that this research calls into question.
That's right.
Root canals are also mentioned as a potential concern.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always heard that root canals are like a last resort
Right.
to save a tooth. What's the issue there?
Well, even with the most skilled dentist,
Yeah.
there's always a slight chance that a tiny bit of nerve tissue might remain in the tooth after a root canal.
Okay.
And according to this research, that residual tissue can decay
Okay.
and create chronic inflammation, which can spread throughout the body.
So are you saying that chronic inflammation from a tooth issue
Right.
could potentially impact my heart or my kidneys, for example?
Remember that energetic connection we talked about earlier?
Yeah.
The organ connected to that treated tooth
Yeah.
could be especially susceptible.
Okay, hold on.
Yeah.
So are you saying that chronic inflammation from a tooth
Yeah.
could potentially impact my heart or kidneys?
It is, and it's a significant claim,
Okay.
and the source material doesn't shy away from it.
That's a pretty bold statement.
It is, but remember, we're looking at this from a holistic perspective, where everything's interconnected.
I'm starting to see how all this ties together.
Good.
So we've got potential toxins leaching from fillings, chronic inflammation from root canals,
Yeah.
and this overall weakening of the immune system from constantly fighting those battles.
Right.
It sounds like a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, and that's the point this research is trying to make.
Yeah.
These dental issues aren't isolated incidents. They have this ripple effect throughout your whole system.
This is a lot to take in,
I know, right?
but it's definitely eye-opening.
Good, good.
So if we're moving away from these conventional treatments like amalgam fillings and potentially even questioning the necessity of root canals in some cases,
Right.
what are we left with? Are we just supposed to let our teeth rot?
Not at all.
Yeah.
This research isn't about abandoning dental care altogether.
Okay.
It's about shifting to a more holistic approach,
Okay.
one that prioritizes preventing these issues in the first place,
Okay.
and exploring alternative solutions when intervention is necessary.
I'm all for preventative care, but I'm curious about how this research views conventional practices. Yeah.
Like brushing and flossing, are those still on the table?
This is where things get really interesting.
Okay.
The source actually challenges some of the conventional wisdom we've been taught about dental hygiene.
Wait, are you saying we shouldn't brush our teeth twice a day?
I know it sounds radical,
That goes against everything I've ever learned
Yeah,
about
but-
dental care.
but the research dives deep into the potential harm
Okay.
caused by common toothpaste ingredients
Yeah.
like fluoride, triclosan, and all those artificial colors and flavors that make your toothpaste minty fresh.
So those ingredients that are supposed to be helping
Right?
are actually doing more harm than good.
Well, the research highlights that these ingredients can be absorbed into your bloodstream
Okay.
through the tissues in your mouth.
And it's not just toothpaste.
Right.
It's mouthwash, too.
Exactly. Many mouthwashes are loaded with harsh chemicals,
Okay.
like synthetic carriers and solvents, alcohols, chlorhexidine, artificial flavors.
All making their way into your system.
So you're telling me that my minty fresh breath might be coming at a cost?
It's a possibility.
I've always been told that antibacterial mouthwash is good for killing germs.
Right.
What's the problem with that?
The problem is these mouthwashes don't discriminate.
Okay.
They wipe out the good bacteria along with the bad,
Mm-hmm.
disrupting that balance
Yeah.
of your oral microbiome.
Okay, I'm starting to see how all of this connects.
Good, good.
So if conventional toothpastes and mouthwashes are potentially causing more harm than good, what are we supposed to use to keep our mouths clean and healthy?
Well, the research advocates for a more natural approach,
Okay.
starting with ditching those conventional toothpastes,
Yeah, okay.
opting for natural alternatives.
Yeah.
There are plenty of great options out there. And you can even find recipes for homemade toothpaste
Homemade toothpaste.
using simple ingredients like coconut oil.
That's definitely not something I ever thought I'd be considering.
It's a growing trend.
But I have to admit, the idea of having more control over what goes in my body, even when it comes to toothpaste, is appealing.
Yeah, it's empowering.
What about brushing technique?
Oh, absolutely.
Any special tips there?
The source emphasizes brushing from your gums downward,
Okay.
gently massaging them and sweeping away debris.
Yeah,
It's all about protecting those gums and avoiding harsh scrubbing.
got it.
That can actually do more harm than good.
So gentler brushing with a natural toothpaste.
Right.
Got it. What
That's-
about those harsh mouthwashes we're supposed to be ditching?
There are some natural alternatives.
Okay.
The research highlights a few options.
Hmm.
Herbal mouthwashes, particularly clove,
Yeah?
are known for their antimicrobial properties.
Okay.
Good old saltwater rinses.
Okay.
Those are also recommended.
Saltwater, simple but effective.
It creates an environment that promotes the growth of good bacteria
Yeah,
while keeping the harmful ones in check.
I like it. Anything else?
The research also mentions xylitol and erythritol rinses.
Xylitol. Isn't that a sugar substitute?
Yeah, but they have some amazing properties
Okay.
when it comes to fighting tooth decay.
I'm surprised to hear that it could be beneficial for my oral health.
It is. They can help neutralize acids,
Okay.
reduce plaque, and even decrease the number of those harmful bacteria.
Wow, I had no idea.
It's pretty cool, right?
So natural toothpaste,
Mm-hmm.
gentle brushing,
Right.
and some alternative rinses.
Yeah.
What else is on the checklist for this holistic approach?
Well, another important practice is tongue scraping.
Okay.
It's a simple way to remove bacteria buildup on your tongue,
Yeah.
which can contribute to bad breath and other oral health issues.
Makes sense. I've heard of tongue scraping, but haven't actually tried it yet.
You should give it a try.
Anything else?
The source also mentions something called oil pulling,
Okay.
which is an ancient Ayurvedic technique for cleansing the mouth.
Oil pulling.
Yeah, we could delve into that in more detail later.
Okay.
But think of it as swishing oil around in your mouth to pull out impurities.
Oil pulling. Okay, now I'm really intrigued.
That's fascinating.
I definitely need to hear more about that.
We'll get to it.
So we've talked about natural hygiene practices,
Right.
but what about diet?
Oh, absolutely.
Are there specific foods we should be eating to support healthy teeth and gums?
Well, the research reminds us that strong teeth and bones need certain nutrients to thrive.
Okay.
It emphasizes calcium, magnesium, vitamin D, and vitamin K.
I know calcium is essential for strong bones.
Yeah.
But what role do the other nutrients play?
Well, vitamin D and K are crucial for calcium absorption.
Got it.
So the research suggests getting some sunshine to boost your vitamin D naturally.
Okay.
And if you're concerned about not getting enough through diet,
Yeah.
you can consider taking high-quality supplements.
Okay, so it's not just about what we're putting on our teeth, but also what we're putting in our bodies.
Exactly.
I'm starting to see how this holistic approach really considers all aspects of our health.
Yeah, it all ties together.
This has been an incredibly insightful deep dive so far.
Good. I'm glad you're finding it helpful.
I'm really looking forward to learning more. Shall we move on?
Let's do it. I think you'll find the next part even more intriguing.
Can't wait.
All right?
We'll be back soon to continue our deep dive into this fascinating world of tooth health and its connection to overall well-being.
Looking forward to it.
Welcome back. It's amazing to think that something as simple as taking care of our teeth could have such a huge impact on our overall health.
It really does. It really highlights that interconnectedness of our bodies. You know, it challenges us to think beyond just treating symptoms and look at the root causes.
Absolutely. In part one, we were talking about how some of those conventional dental procedures like amalgam fillings and root canals could actually be contributing to bigger problems. And it sounds like this research goes even deeper and looks at how those issues, along with exposure to toxins from conventional dental products, can actually weaken the immune system.
Yeah, that's right. You know, when your body's constantly fighting off these low-grade assaults from toxins and inflammation, it really does take a toll on your immune system. It's like being under constant attack, which leaves you more vulnerable to other infections and health challenges down the road.
So it's not just about like avoiding cavities or having a bright smile. It's really about protecting our overall health and well-being.
Exactly. This research really drives home that point of needing a preventative approach to dental care.
Okay, so that brings us back to this idea of a more holistic approach. What are some of the things that we can do to support our body's natural defenses and build a strong foundation for our oral health?
Well, we talked about switching to natural toothpaste and mouthwashes, being more gentle with our brushing technique, and even incorporating practices like tongue scraping. But nutrition also plays a key role.
Right. We touched on those key nutrients like calcium, magnesium, vitamin D, and vitamin K, but it's worth diving a bit deeper into how they actually work.
Yeah, definitely. So, you know, we all know calcium is important for building strong bones.
Right, but what about the others? What do they do?
Well, vitamin D and K are actually crucial for helping your body absorb that calcium. That's why the research suggests getting some sunshine to help your body produce vitamin D naturally.
Oh, okay.
And of course, if you're not getting enough through your diet, high-quality supplements can help fill in the gaps.
Okay, so sunshine and a balanced diet can really make a difference when it comes to our dental health.
Absolutely. It goes back to that holistic perspective, taking care of our whole selves to support our oral health. Now, let's go back to those alternative rinsing options we talked about earlier. Can you remind me what those were again?
Yeah, we talked about saltwater rinses, xylitol rinses, and cloved mouthwashes.
Right, right. And they're all natural alternatives to those conventional mouthwashes that we talked about. Let's start with salt water. It's more than just a breath freshener.
Oh, okay.
The salt in the water actually helps to create an environment that is less hospitable to those harmful bacteria while promoting the growth of the beneficial ones.
So it's not about just wiping out all bacteria indiscriminately, it's about creating that balance.
Exactly. And those xylitol and erythritol rinses, they're actually fighting tooth decay on multiple fronts.
I'm still kind of amazed that a sugar substitute could be so beneficial for my teeth.
I know, it's pretty remarkable. The research shows they can reduce plaque buildup, neutralize those acids in your mouth, and even decrease the number of those harmful bacteria that are trying to take over.
So it's like having these tiny little superheroes fighting for our dental health.
That's a great way to think about it.
Okay, what about clove mouthwash? I've always loved the smell of cloves, but I had no idea they could be good for my teeth.
Well, they have potent antimicrobial properties, which means they can help combat the bacteria that can contribute to tooth decay and gum disease. And you're right, they smell amazing.
It seems like nature has provided us with all these tools to keep our mouths healthy.
It really has. And, these natural remedies have been used for centuries, long before those modern dental care products came onto the scene. It's really fascinating how we're rediscovering these traditional practices and finding ways to incorporate them into our modern lives.
And speaking of those traditional practices, you mentioned something called oil pulling in the first part,
I did.
and I'm really curious to learn more about that. What exactly is oil pulling?
Well, it's an ancient Ayurvedic practice that involves swishing oil around in your mouth for a period of time.
I know we touched on this a little bit, but why would you want to swish oil in your mouth? It doesn't sound very appealing.
I get it. It might seem a little strange at first, but the idea is that the oil acts as a cleanser. So it binds to bacteria, toxins, and other impurities in your mouth and basically draws them out.
So it's kind of like a magnet for the bad stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's not just about freshening your breath or whitening your teeth, although those can be some nice side effects. Proponents of oil pulling believe it can actually have a positive impact on your overall health as well.
Wait, so you're saying swishing oil in my mouth could benefit my whole body? How does that work?
Well, the mouth is often considered a gateway to the rest of the body. In Ayurveda, there's this understanding that the oral cavity is connected to various organs and systems. So by cleansing the mouth, removing those toxins and impurities, you're preventing them from circulating throughout your body and potentially causing problems elsewhere.
So it's kind of like a mini detox for your mouth and beyond.
You could say that.
Wow. What kind of oil is usually used?
Coconut oil is a popular choice. It has natural antimicrobial properties, and it's got a pretty pleasant taste.
Okay.
Sesame oil and sunflower oil are also used.
So you just take a spoonful of oil and swish it around?
Yep, the general recommendation is about 15 to 20 minutes, ideally first thing in the morning before you eat or drink anything.
20 minutes? That seems like a really long time.
I know it sounds like a commitment, but many people find it's a relaxing part of their morning routine.
Mm.
You can multitask while you're swishing, get dressed, make the bed, listen to some music, even meditate.
Okay, that makes it a little more doable. So once you've swished for that time, what do you do with the oil?
Whatever you do, don't swallow it. It's full of all those toxins and impurities that you just pulled out of your mouth. Spit it out into the trash can, not the sink, because it can solidify and clog your pipes.
That's good to know. So you swish, spit, and then brush your teeth as usual.
That's it. And some people like to rinse with some salt water afterward, just for an extra cleansing boost.
This is really interesting. I'm definitely going to try oil pulling. It seems like a simple yet powerful way to support both our oral and overall health. Any other thoughts on this before we move on?
Yeah, just one thing to note. While oil pulling has been practiced for centuries, more research is definitely needed to fully understand all its effects and mechanisms. Like with any health practice, you want to listen to your body and consult with your healthcare provider if you have any concerns or questions.
Great advice. It's always important to do your research and be mindful of how your body's responding to new practices. This deep dive has been incredibly eye-opening, but it's just a starting point. It's really up to each of us to continue exploring, learning, and making those informed decisions about our health.
Absolutely. We're all on a unique health journey, and what works for one person might not work for another. The key is to be curious, ask questions, and find what resonates with you.
Exactly. So as we wrap up this part, let's reflect on what we've learned so far. We've explored some unconventional ideas, challenged some long-held beliefs, and discovered so much information about how our oral health is connected to our overall well-being.
We've also learned about those potential risks associated with certain conventional dental practices and all the empowering possibilities of embracing that more holistic approach to dental care.
We've discussed natural remedies, simple and effective practices like tongue scraping, and of course, the fascinating world of oil pulling.
And probably most importantly, we've been reminded that our health is a journey, not a destination. It's an ongoing process of learning, exploring, and making choices that align with our own individual needs and values.
Well, we're excited to continue this exploration in part 3, where we'll delve even deeper into that fascinating world of oil pulling and uncover even more insights from this Slovakian research. Welcome back to the final part of our deep dive into the link between tooth health and our overall well-being.
It's been quite a journey. We've explored some unconventional ideas about dental care, challenging the conventional wisdom.
Yeah, we've covered everything from the risks of certain dental procedures to the power of natural remedies and a holistic approach.
And of course, we promised to circle back to oil pulling, ready to dive into the details of this ancient practice.
Oh, absolutely. I'm so curious to learn more about how it works and what the potential benefits could be.
Okay, well, oil pulling has its roots in Ayurveda, that traditional system of medicine that originated in India thousands of years ago. And it's a really simple practice. It involves swishing oil around in your mouth for a certain period of time.
I know we talked about it a little bit in the previous parts, but can you remind me again why someone would want to swish oil around in their mouth? It still sounds a little strange.
I know it might seem a little odd at first, but the idea is that the oil acts like a cleanser. It binds to bacteria, toxins, and other impurities in your mouth, and it draws them out.
So it's like a magnet for the bad stuff.
Exactly. And it's not just about freshening breath or whitening teeth, though those can be some nice side effects. People who do oil pulling believe that it can impact your overall health.
Wait, so you're saying swishing oil in my mouth could benefit my whole body. How does that work?
Well, the mouth is often considered a gateway to the rest of the body. In Ayurveda, the understanding is that the oral cavity is connected to different organs and systems. So by cleansing the mouth and removing those toxins and impurities, you're basically preventing them from circulating throughout your body and causing problems.
So it's like a mini detox for your mouth and beyond.
You could say that.
That's fascinating. So what kind of oil do people typically use for this?
Coconut oil is a popular choice. It has those natural antimicrobial properties and a pretty pleasant taste.
Yeah.
Sesame oil and sunflower oil are also used.
Okay, so you just take a spoonful of oil and swish it around. For how long?
The general recommendation is to swish for about 15 to 20 minutes, ideally first thing in the morning before you eat or drink anything.
20 minutes? That seems like a long time.
I know, it does sound like a commitment, but a lot of people find that it becomes a relaxing part of their morning routine. You can multitask while you're swishing, get dressed, make your bed, listen to music, maybe even meditate.
Okay, that makes it a little more manageable. So once you've switched for that recommended time, what do you do with the oil?
Whatever you do, don't swallow it. It's full of all those toxins and impurities you just pulled out of your mouth. Spit it out to a trash can, not the sink. It can solidify and clog the pipes.
Good to know. So swish, spit, and then brush your teeth as usual.
Exactly. And some people like to rinse with salt water afterward for a little extra cleansing boost.
I am so intrigued by this. I'm definitely going to give it a try. It seems like such a simple but powerful way to support both oral health and overall health. Any other thoughts on oil pulling before we wrap up?
Yeah, one thing to note is that while oil pulling has been practiced for centuries, we need more research to fully understand its effects and how it works. So, like with any new health practice, listen to your body and consult with your healthcare provider if you have any concerns.
That's great advice. It's always important to do your research and be mindful of how your body responds. This deep dive has been so eye-opening, but it's really just a starting point. It's up to each of us to keep exploring and learning and making informed decisions about our health.
Absolutely. We're all on a unique health journey, and there is no one-size-fits-all approach. The key is to be curious, ask questions, and just find what works best for you.
This has been such an incredible conversation. We've explored some really unconventional ideas, challenged some long-held beliefs, and I think uncovered a wealth of information about the connection between our oral health and our overall well-being.
We've learned about the potential risks of some conventional dental practices and the empowering possibilities of a holistic approach.
Hmm.
We've discussed natural remedies and those simple practices like tongue scraping, and of course, the fascinating world of oil pulling.
And perhaps most importantly, we've been reminded that our health is a journey, not a destination. It's an ongoing process of learning, exploring, and making those choices that align with our own individual needs and values.
Well said.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the world of tooth health and its impact on our overall well-being. I hope this has sparked your curiosity and empowered you to take an active role in your own health journey.
Remember, knowledge is power. The more we learn about our bodies and how everything is connected, the better we can make informed decisions and create a life that's full of health and well-being.
Until next time, keep those minds curious and those smiles healthy.